TCS Court is now in session. All persons having business with this, the Honorable TCS Court, draw near and give your attention. God save Cindy and this Honorable Court.
All right, the Honorable Jess, you are now cited.
Please be seated. Today, we are convened to examine a case that has been tearing our class apart. Many have leveled allegations that Mr. Walter, with a callous disregard toward the optimism of youth, did knowingly and deliberately create a character, one Gig Dolan, which our students on the cusp of adulthood would naturally identify with. After baiting these defenseless students into loving this character, Mr. Walter is accused of undermining our students' optimism by wantonly destroying Gig's fundamental belief that the world can be improved, stripping him of all redeeming qualities, and then Thelma and Louising him into an early and fiery grave. The TCS Court will get to the bottom of this. Bailiff, will you please read the charges?
The students of TCS hereby charge Jess Walter with the following. Charge 1, one count of knowingly undermining youthful optimism within a work of literature. Charge 2, one count of writing a sex scene that made our teachers deeply uncomfortable.
Your Honor, the student's motion to remove the second count because it's hilarious when you feel awkward.
So be it. Bailiff, strike that second count, but Mr. Walter should be advised that sex scenes in books make them difficult to teach in high school.
Mr. Walter, please rise. You have been accused of undermining youthful optimism within a work of literature. How do you plead?
Not guilty.
Very well. Clerk of the court, please enter a plea of not guilty into the record. Let's swear in the jury.
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, please rise. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that in considering the case of literary optimism versus Jess Walter, you will give a true verdict according to the evidence presented to you, without prejudice, so help you Cindy?
We did.
Very well. Mr. Prosecutor, have you prepared your case?
We have, Your Honor.
Please proceed.
Ladies and gentlemen of the court, if you will yield a moment of your time, we'll prove this man's guilt to the Honorable TCS jury.
On the 27th of October 2020, the defendant released a manuscript detailing his guilt and promoting his crime for the purpose of increasing his income.
A 1 Gig Dolan was extorted for the defendant's personal benefit in the following manner.
1.
That Mr. Walter did in full faith make a mockery of Gig's existence through his chosen name.
2.
That Mr. Walter did in full faith condemn an innocent man to insanity and untimely death.
And 3.
That Mr. Walter did in full faith make a disposition of hope and possibility for his readers.
Mr. Walter, if your idea of a twisted joke is to give your oppressed character the name Gig, then, sir, you most certainly have succeeded.
A gig is a performance for the mere entertainment of an audience, a sick reminder of the horrid life that you inflicted on him and of his miserable demise.
The Cold Million serves as a testament to Mr. Walter's disregard for his readers and why he must be held accountable for his actions, lest another cold millions be released upon this fragile world. Mr. Walter, you make me sick. The prosecution now calls Elizabeth Gurley Flynn to the stand.
Mrs. Gurley Flynn, do you know Gig Dolan?
I never met him, but if I did, I would tell him that the state of free speech in this supposed republic is a mockery of the Bill of Rights. The so-called judges in this town are drunks and cops. Like acting Chief Sullivan are complicit in running a brothel out of their own jail. Even poor orphans like Rye are swept up into the gears of a machine made to keep the rich on top.
Thank you, Miss Flynn. You may step down.
Free speech action tonight applies for everyone. Who wants to go to town?
Goodbye, Miss Flynn.
I promise, my husband is real.
You go, girl.
The prosecution rests.
Thank you. Attorneys for the defense.
the jury. The prosecution would have you believe that Jess Walter is guilty for a crime as heinous as destroying Teen Spirit. My client is innocent. Is it really killing Teen Spirit, or just realism? A large majority of the cold millions is based on fact, and what happened to Gig really did happen to someone. Many people even. Is it so wrong to be historically accurate? The prosecution would charge Gig with a crime. I charge him with being human. Gig was kicked down so often he found it futile to continue, and many others in the IWW felt the exact same. If you're looking for a character to represent Teen Spirit, you should look at Elizabeth Gurley Flynn. She never gave up. She never even faltered when the IWW failed. Jess Walter gave us many characters to look at and root for. But Gig losing his spirit is just a representation to show us the stakes inherent for the fight for justice. The prosecution would have us live a lie, where good always triumphs. But I say thank God for Gig and his struggle. We don't want the lie. We have a right to the messy truth, just like Jess Walter has a right to the verdict of not guilty.
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, I listened carefully to how those charges were framed. Will the court reporter please read back the opening statement from the trial?
One moment. Statement. Bailiff. Charge 2. 1 count of writing a sex scene
Not that, the judge's statement.
Oh, sorry. Statement. Judge. Mr. Walter is accused of destroying Gig's fundamental belief that the world can be improved, stripping him of all redeeming qualities, and then Thelma and Louising him into an early and fiery grave.
Did you hear that? The judge said, stripping him of all his redeeming qualities. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, that's simply not true.
And I have the evidence that easily disproves this statement. Gig still retains at least 2 of his most important qualities. The first one being his undying love for his little brother Rye. If you recall, at the beginning of the book, he didn't want Rye to come to the free speech day because he didn't want to see him get hurt. Now recall at the end of the book where Gig quite literally fought early Rustin to the death because he wanted to protect his little brother and not see him in danger. And what about Gig's determination? Gig went to jail and went on a 13-day hunger strike for a cause he believed in. And though Gig did lose his determined spirit, in the end he was able to reignite that spirit to an even higher intensity. Gig wrestled early Rustin into the grave with 1 arm and a knife in his chest. If these aren't redeeming qualities, then I don't know what is. Your Honor, the defense rests.
Thank you, defense.
Mr. Walter, before the jury reaches a verdict, I understand you'd like to make a statement.
I would, Your Honor. I take these charges very seriously. I wish I had made the sex scene a little more overt, just so you'd really blushed. But besides that, I understand completely, and it was difficult. I loved the character of Gig, but I think my defense counsel has stated it about as well as I could. What I really wanted to do was show that we don't always win, and we have to be able to fight anyway, and that sometimes personal determination and belief can power us to sacrifice ourselves for other people. And Rye's successful life by the end of the book is all the proof you need that I valued what Gig valued, which was family, brotherhood in both senses, in labor and in family. And I hope that you'll show some mercy, because I was hoping to go to breakfast later. So thank you, Your Honor.
Good try, Mr. Walter. Thank you. Jury, you have heard the arguments and considered the evidence. Please make a just, speedy, and impartial determination in this case. Bailiff, please escort the jury backstage. Foreperson, has the jury reached a verdict?
We have, Your Honor.
Will the defendant please rise? Please proceed, foreperson.
On the charges of knowingly undermining youthful optimism within a work of literature, we, the jury, find the accused, Jess Walter, guilty as charged.
Mr. Walter, on the charge of knowingly undermining youthful optimism, you have been found guilty by a jury of completely impartial teenagers. Before Cindy, with the full faith and power of the community school and in accordance with the laws therein, I hereby sentence you to naming a minor character in a future novel after a student in this room. It is a just and fitting punishment, and a list will be provided for your convenience. So be it. This TCS court is now adjourned.
Point of clarification, Your Honor. Can I kill the character